I'm Symphony Privet. Thank you for joining us here on Featured. We hope to inspire or simply make you smile with uplifting stories across the country. One artist in Minnesota has been working in the shadows since 2019, unwilling to reveal his identity publicly for fear he'd be told to stop. But now, not only is he willing to talk, he is expanding his effort. Boyd Hubert shares more about his unusual calling.
Take this and this.
What we see every day, we stop seeing. Take freeway noise barriers, no longer worthy of even our passing glances, unless you're Dave Gatzmer.
Very handy.
And a noise barrier calls you.
There we go.
A few years back,
Ta-da.
Dave saw in his neighborhood more than a newly constructed wall.
I saw this new blank canvas.
The artist grabbed a few old phones and hung up,
And I put up 5.
which have grown to a couple hundred, which led to a nickname Dave didn't seek, connecting him to the world's best-known street artist.
I've been coined Phone Banksy, which stuck.
These are all prepped and ready to go.
Which, being spring, brings another crop.
Some lady found me on Facebook. She mailed me this. It's still in the box. Brand new. She really wants this up there.
Which
Up it goes.
is how he got here.
One of my friends came. This was his Halloween costume. He came as my wall.
Look around. It kind of fits.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo.
Unsure others would find this so amusing, Dave started by hanging phones anonymously
I was sneaking over here at night doing it.
until phone Banksy came to a revelation.
If you've got a pizza box or a ladder, people just let you go anywhere you want.
Now, a phone company has assembled 20 feet above a bike trail with the blessings of both local and state officials and Louis' chauffeur.
We check out the phones like every day. Motorcycle, yeah, that's his favorite.
Dave
R2D2 is pretty cool.
also has
There's a piano phone,
some faves.
the Sports Illustrated football phone,
A museum of both art and history,
probably the oldest one.
harkening back to a time when a mobile phone was a 10-foot cord.
iPhone 17.
Ever used a rotary phone before?
No.
Julian
No, never.
and Delphine Munson
A good black rotary,
will never experience slamming one of these
just heavy.
on a telemarketer.
Boom! It just makes you feel better.
Like how they're all up there and they're not in a landfill somewhere.
Good,
People put their phones in there.
because Dave's
Donation point.
collecting more.
It's been overflowing and there's been bags of phones.
After all, there's plenty more. Wall.
As long as they keep coming, I'll keep putting them up.
Boyd Hubert.
A man in North Carolina is impacting his community in a pretty big way. Officer Mac Owens used to work on the city's police cars, and now he is driving one as an officer. Here's Kevin Kennedy.
For almost 8 years, Mac Owens spent his days in this shop.
I was a fleet mechanic with the city of Asheboro.
Part of that job, servicing and working on patrol cars.
I worked on everything the city owned, but service police cars and worked on heavy equipment mostly, but anything they needed done.
Mac enjoyed the job, but it wasn't his dream.
Definitely wanted to get into law enforcement. My grandfather was a chief of police and a sheriff, and all my uncles on my mom's side were in law enforcement.
Fast forward to today. Mac Owens is a police officer with the Asheboro Police Department.
Just kept coming around like I need to do this, I need to try it, and finally did.
So now, at the age of 47, Mac is living his dream.
I think it's a calling. I think you have to be called to get into law enforcement, or maybe you're crazy one.
After 47 years of wondering what it would feel like, Mac slipped on the uniform for the first time.
Putting all this on this morning, it was surreal that this is what I work for, is to wear this uniform and have the badge.
Mac hopes this is day one of 20 years. His goal, become the oldest police officer in Asheboro. Kevin Kennedy.
Owens applied for the job back in 2010, but didn't get it at the time. And now, 16 years later, he is celebrating his entry into law enforcement. And we are taking you to Arkansas now to meet a local radio legend named Clyde Clifford. He is 80 years old, but still on the air after decades of pioneering underground radio to Little Rock, the Midwest, and the world. Brooke Buckner catches up with him as he continues to connect listeners.
Hundreds of thousands of people travel down I-30 every day, passing through Saline County. Just outside the noise of the busy interstate, you'll find a man traveling via airwaves.
I'm Clyde Clifford, and this is Beaker Street on Arkansas Rocks.
Clyde Clifford is a disc jockey at Arkansas Rocks in Benton, a haven for music lovers and radio legends.
We describe ourselves as a bunch of old farts who love radio the way it ought to be done, and that's what we're doing.
Every Friday night, Clifford takes listeners on a musical journey down Beaker Street, a trip he says starts with a feeling.
It ought to be what the disc jockey feels is worth playing, what the disc jockey feels that the audience wants. And there's, if you're good at it, if you have a touch for it, you can feel what the audience wants without really having to have anybody call you and tell you, I want to hear that song.
The 80-year-old Little Rock native says it's almost like a sixth sense, a skill he developed early on in his career when he ditched the planning and started playing from the heart.
Most of the time when I walk in this control room, I don't even know what my first song is going to be.
Clifford and Beaker Street got their start at KAAY in Little Rock back in 1966. The young DJ worked overnight as an engineer, broadcasting from the noisy transmitter room. After a few decades and time at other stations, he hung up the headphones for good.
I was in the control room at Cottondale Lane in Little Rock thinking, well, this is the last one I'm going to do. This is going to be it.
Or so he thought.
You're listening to Arkansas Rocks.
Beaker Street is back.
They let me play whatever the heck I feel like.
The music he feels every Friday night from 8 until midnight, live.
I have to be in the middle of it. I have to be on the air doing it as it goes.
In real time.
In real time.
And his reach stretches beyond the natural state.
We get notes, emails, and so forth from all over the world.
As technology evolves and music changes, the one thing that remains constant.
I've just been me, and I think that's I think that's what makes it work. I think people understand that I'm just me, and what you see is what you get.
It's proof that a lot of passion, a little personality, and a good playlist are enough to make an encore worth it, no matter your age.
Streaming live at www.arkansasrocks.com.
Brooke Buckner.
A historic carousel in Hampton, Virginia is back open at 106 years old. It stands as a beloved landmark in the city. Photojournalist Luca Pfeiffer spoke with people who showed up for the opening day.
As soon as you start the ride, you hit the bell, and then off it goes.
I just had to get closer because I was peeking through the door. And then when the door opened, I got happy.
You're coming in here and you're sharing in people's memories that stretch back all the way back to over 100 years ago.
I lived in Hampton my whole life, and I usually try to come on opening day, and I just get such a good feeling when I come here.
All of these horses are the original horses that were from when the ride opened in 1920. It is a 1915 Bruder band organ. Cymbals, it's got bellows, as many as 500 songs on the organ. It's still air-powered, there is no electricity.
It's beautiful. This is an antique.
It was built in 1920 by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company, reopened here in downtown Hampton after a restoration during the late 80s and early 90s. There's so much passion within the community for the carousel. I mean, you have grandparents bringing their kids, parents bringing their kids, several generations riding on the carousel at once. People are really eager to get on and ride and experience it.
Amazing. Really done perfectly. Everyone really should experience their youth and come out here and ride it.
Thank you to Luca Pfeiffer for that story. Still ahead, haircuts that mean a little more. One barber is stepping up to support kids in his community. We will introduce you to a barber who inspires the next generation, one cut at a time. And a group in Arkansas is saddling up for a more than 200-mile ride to the state capitol. We'll share the unique way organizers are raising awareness for the foster care system in the state. Welcome back. A group of men and women are taking a unique approach to bring attention to Arkansas's foster care system. They're traveling 220 miles on horseback. Laura Castleman caught up with them as their ride begins.
Over the next 12 days, these riders will cowboy up, camping out in tents and traveling 220 miles to the state's capital. It's for the Long Road Home Project, which is meant to raise awareness of the state's foster care system.
Once we get to Little Rock, we'll meet with Governor Sanders and share stories and letters that we have collected along the route.
They're taking with them handwritten letters.
Here are some letters from DCFS caseworkers. And these are all from caseworkers telling us their why. Why do they do what they do? This one is from Kimberly. She says, because every child deserves to have an advocate for their health needs.
Each rider chosen by the founder of the project, Andrew Martin, for a reason. Phil Burke is from Los Angeles and is joining the ride.
It's something that I've been in touch with throughout my life as far as friends and certain family members.
Rider Taylor Jones says his mom was in the foster care system, and that's why he's joining the mission.
My mom didn't meet her adopted or her real family until she was about late 30s, and I realized I had a lot more family than I knew.
It's a ride to spread awareness about foster care. Foster care is not all bad stories.
12 days, 11 riders, one mission.
That was Laura Castleman reporting. One barber in Connecticut is going above and beyond, not just with clippers, but with compassion, as he reminds us that kindness still exists in our communities. Jalen Anderson spoke with Joey Fresh Pelkey after he gifted two young brothers free haircuts and some inspiration.
Although Joey's schedule may be booked tight, he says he will always show up for his community whenever they need him. Inside the Get Fresh barbershop in Middletown, it's more than just fades and fresh cuts. It's about making a difference. The barber, who goes by Fresh, says he believes looking good can help you feel even better. Joey was approached by a longtime friend who is the organizer of the Middletown Police Activity League about two brothers in need of haircuts. Not only did he give them free haircuts, he also surprised them with brand new shoes and clothes, as well as a message they will never forget.
You don't have to struggle by yourself. You have a whole community behind you that's willing to struggle with you and help you struggle less.
This simple act of generosity turned into something much bigger.
So then that's when it sparked the idea for me to ask them how their grades are in school. So I made a promise with them, if they bring me 2 good report cards at the end of the year, they'd get a free haircut.
In a world where many are struggling, small acts of kindness like this can leave a lasting impact. For Joey, he says being born and raised in Middletown means so much to him, and he wants to always help the next generation in whatever aspect he can.
If I can teach the community to be a better community, then we will have a better community. Because if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And that's why I do what I do, not only because I love doing that, but I hope to inspire other people to do so as well.
Joey offers free haircuts to any kid in the POWER program, and he says he hopes this will continue to boost confidence both inside and outside the classroom. In Middletown, Jalen Anderson.
I love that those young men have someone they can look up to, and they'll probably continue to go to him for haircuts in the future. Already coming up after the break, a North Texas family blindsided by a devastating diagnosis, but their children became each other's life-saving match. And ahead in our next half hour, from facing his own health battle to fighting for others, how one man turned his darkest moment into a mission to save lives. Having a child diagnosed with a serious medical condition is frightening. Having more than one diagnosed is devastating. Here's Kevin Reese with a message of hope one Texas family wants to share.
When you first meet Divine and Siri Mabo.
Siri, when did you come to the U.S.?
This usually happens.
How old were you?
My age is irrelevant.
The Siri on your iPhone
Age is irrelevant.
tends to interrupt.
Of course.
Is that the problem?
That's the problem. Every time.
But then you notice
like we actually have a pair of them up there.
The much more important voices at the top of their living room stairs.
It was a very scary time for our family. Like, we were so scared.
They met in their native Cameroon, got married in San Antonio, but only after they made sure a common West African disease would not be part of that marriage.
And sickle cell is very prevalent in that part of Africa.
Sickle cell disease is the genetic disorder where normally round red blood cells turn crescent-shaped, blocking blood flow. Severe pain, organ damage, early death are often part of a diagnosis. So in Cameroon, before they got married, they made sure they got tested.
We got results that said that we were both not carriers of the sickle cell trait. So that meant that we were clear to get married, like without having any fear of having kids with sickle cell.
Nathan was born first. 2 years later, fraternal twins Brian and Brandon.
It was really chaotic.
Because at the age of 3, Nathan was diagnosed on the autism spectrum. And the newborn twins
have sickle cell disease, right? Yeah, at the same time. So literally all 3 kids have an issue.
Divine and Siri were carriers of the sickle cell trait. Their tests in Cameroon were wrong.
And we passed it on to our kids unknowingly.
I think that has got to be the most devastating news I have ever heard.
But in that devastation, doctors at Children's Health in Dallas told them there was an option, a bone marrow transplant if their older brother Nathan was a match. He was.
That's why we're so grateful to be in a country where we have the resources to manage the condition and eventually curing the condition.
But the older brother was only a match for Brian. There was still no cure for his twin Brandon. Until through IVF, they had their 4th child. Her name is Naima.
She was 100% sickle cell free, and it just so happened that she was also a genetic match for Brandon.
Because each twin had a sibling who matched them, they could each endure chemo and then a sibling transfusion.
Hi, friend. Can I get a hug? Yeah. Hi, Brad. Hi, Sitka. Yeah. Hi, Nathan. Can I get a hug?
Nathan is 8 now. The twins are 6. Naima is 3. And some of this journey,
I was sick.
they do understand.
My sister gave one of her bone marrow to me.
Was gave to me by Nathan, because he knows he knows.
Their story is in a memoir Siri Mabo has written. It's called Conceived. And the Mabo started a foundation for awareness about autism and about sickle cell disease.
Create resources for families that are going through this, or to prevent other families from going through what we went through.
And get folks to just test.
Meanwhile, those pictures at the top of the stairs are a testament to that. Each twin paired with the sibling who saved them, while sharing the message about testing and life-saving treatment that's helping keep a North Texas family together.
To be able to live life to their full potential.
In Melissa, Texas, I'm Kevin Reese.
Wow, what a turn for that family. I am so happy they had their happy ending. Coming up next, finding her voice in the fight, how one Virginia woman is using music to bring hope inside a cancer center.
I think having that physical flag from the past for future generations to see, I think that's extremely important.
And how one veterans group in Arkansas worked to restore a flag that has special meaning. Thank you for staying with us here on Featured. I'm Symphony Privet, and we are continuing to bring you uplifting stories across the country. Singing through the struggle, a Virginia cancer patient is transforming her treatment room into a party. By finding light in the darkest moments, she is now inspiring other patients along the way. Here's Sean Martinelli.
You know what to do, hey Mr. DJ. Oh.
Inside Inova Fair Oaks Hospital.
Just might make her my baby. I just might make her my baby.
Every other week, chemotherapy room 2 becomes this.
Like club chemo. You can't move.
After being diagnosed with cancer, Salida Coleman decided she didn't want a pity party, just a party.
I don't want to just sit in a chair and be sad and cry anymore, you know. See, it just kind of hits like that.
Like every other club has a bouncer, this one doubles as a doctor.
Yeah.
That's oncologist Karam Anwar.
Call him the bouncer, the club bouncer now.
She has a very vibrant personality. If this little words that go a long way in making her feel better, I think that's important.
Important especially since chemo isn't Salida's only club. Before cancer, she got divorced. Before that, she lost a dream job.
Can a girl get a break?
All while fighting every day to be stronger for her daughter.
Not being able to show up has been tough. Can't be in the club crying. This is what the club is for. It's anti.
If music is Salida's medicine, Bruno Mars is her preferred prescription. And Spotify is only so effective.
She's giving me as much energy as I'm trying to give her.
That's music therapist Caleb Hacker.
It's not an easy journey that she's on right now, so.
Today, Caleb is Club Chemo's headliner.
You can't think about it when that's happening.
Her eyes.
As joyful as Club Chemo can be, Salida knows there will never be a line outside the door. But she hopes other patients will see treatment doesn't always mean disappointment.
Just the way you are.
And when this club finally closes, Salida won't walk out.
I'm dancing out.
In Fairfax, Virginia, Sean Martinelli.
Wow, what a way to find the positive in what could be a very dark situation. All right, moving on to our next story here. A man's own health scare further inspired his mission to save lives. He is now heading to the National Pickleball Championship. Jenny Day in San Diego shares his story.
Mark Palm is a Carlsbad dad who beat cancer and is helping bring emergency medical care to an underdeveloped country. He's also pretty good at pickleball.
We get one life, one story. Mark Palm will inspire you to do more with yours. Today, he's on the pickleball court with me, but for the past 25 years, he's been saving thousands of lives on the other side of the world, flying a seaplane in Papua New Guinea, providing medical life flights.
Then we have a chance to just love on them, pray with them, bring them clothes, food, and we call it being the hands and feet of Jesus.
He first went to this island in the South Pacific when he was 19 after meeting a friend from there. That trip ultimately inspired the nonprofit he created, Samaritan Aviation.
And while we were there, we just heard story after story of people dying. 3 days away from the only hospital, 5 days away from the only hospital. Moms coming down in a boat and having to go on a long journey, and the babies dying on the way, mothers dying on the way, snake bite patients that had 3 to 8 hours to live, not even having a chance.
The only option before was paddling in a canoe. Samaritan Aviation turned a 3-day trip into a 1-hour flight and still does it at no cost to the villagers. The charity operates solely on donations. There are now 3 seaplanes that do up to 500 trips to the hospital a year.
So I had a chance growing up to help people. And then my grandfather was a World War II pilot. So I had this aviation, I had this service-oriented background.
Just a few years ago, though, he became the patient. After having trouble breathing, a scan showed he had B-cell lymphoma. A cancerous tumor was growing off of his lung, nearly blocking his throat. Chemo took its toll, but it was on the pickleball court that gave him life.
I had a port in my chest. I couldn't surf anymore. I didn't have the energy to get out in the ocean or do the other activities. But I could get to that court and I could play one game, and then I would be tired. I'd go home. The next day I'd come back. I could play 2 games.
He started competing in tournaments. He's now shared his love of the game with the people of Papua New Guinea. Remote villagers play in the middle of the jungle on a helicopter pad, the only concrete for 50 miles.
We all can do something to make a difference where we're at. And I would just say, do something is my challenge to everyone. Lift someone up.
Jenny Day.
An Alabama veteran is proving that even life-changing setbacks can't ground your dreams. After losing his leg in Iraq, he is now building his own airplane, part of a mission to inspire others to keep on pushing forward. Valentina Chalala caught up with him to see how he is getting this airplane ready to fly.
Brandon Vilt spent 2 decades in Army aviation, working on helicopters before transitioning to unmanned aerial systems. But during his first deployment to Iraq in 2007 with the 25th Infantry Division, he lost his leg in a devastating accident.
Basically, a vehicle ran my checkpoint. They didn't stop when they were supposed to, and it hit a jersey barrier, like a big cement barrier. Fell on top of my leg and it pretty much amputated it instantly.
After years of recovery, relearning how to walk, and adjusting to a new normal, Vilt returned to service and completed a full military career, retiring as a master sergeant. But his passion for aviation never left. There was just one problem. Traditional aircrafts require the use of both legs.
One of the reasons I decided to build my own airplane, the Zenith 750 Super Duty, I can't do toe heel brakes because I can't flex my left foot, so I'm going to put a handbrake on it.
So he got to work, building his own plane from the ground up inside a hangar in Hazel Green. He started last July and has set a powerful deadline, April 22nd, 2027, exactly 20 years since the day that changed his life.
I'm just hoping to inspire others by showing them that a disability, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to stop you. And it doesn't even have to be losing your leg, it just could be anything, you know, you just can never give up and keep pushing forward.
But building an airplane doesn't come cheap. Vilt is funding the project piece by piece, selling merchandise like t-shirts and stickers to help keep his dream in motion. For Vilt, true freedom begins the moment he takes flight.
A mile of road will take you a mile of runway will take you anywhere.
And now he's turning his story into a purpose, to show others that no obstacle is too big to overcome.
This is my new mission, to inspire others and get people involved in aviation. And kids or even adults, even people that think like, well, I'm old now and I'm too late. Well, it's never too late.
That was Valentina Chalala reporting from Alabama. If you would like to follow his journey, he is documenting the entire process on Facebook and YouTube under One-Legged Aviation as he works toward his first flight in 2027. I'm going to have to check out his social media channels. All right, moving on to our next story here. In 1948, 3 years after World War II, 22 veterans met in Decatur, Arkansas, and formed the Howard Parish VFW Post 9834. The post still stands today with 59 members. When forming the group, the founding members purchased a flag that still represents the chapter. Tiffany Lee shows us how community members came together to fix that flag.
Problem solving is a part of Amanda Hubbard's job.
This is basically just fraying, kind of falling apart.
A flag that for 78 years has represented the VFW Post 9834 in Decatur.
When you think about like the people who have served in the past and your ancestors.
Amanda has been sewing for 25 years.
I think having that physical flag from the past for future generations to see, I think that's extremely important.
The restoration project was an uphill battle.
How can I like carefully deconstruct and then reconstruct it to make it look like as close to the original as possible?
After weeks of work, Amanda could hear the trumpet sound.
Flags are typically the first thing led into a fight or a war or a battle.
Matt McLean served in the United States Air Force from 1999 to 2008.
I see that flag and I relate it to the camaraderie that I felt in each group or each base I was stationed at.
Matt is currently the youngest member of the Howard Parish VFW Post 9834.
78 years later, we still gather on the first Tuesday of each month to carry on veteran-related business, community service, and camaraderie.
He is the one who called local business Skyline to get a new flag.
It's not easy to throw history away.
But to his surprise,
I was shocked at how well Amanda was able to bring that original emblem back.
no new flag was needed.
This flag has stories in it, you know.
78 years of stories, with another 78 years of stories to come.
This is going to be the thing that bears on throughout the years of the history and the time and the effort and the blood and the sweat that has been put into this post and the veterans that have sacrificed to be part of this post.
That was Tiffany Lee reporting from Arkansas. You ever had a teacher who inspired you or changed your life? Well, that is the case for a group of students in Texas. Thanks to their teacher, they have created some bright futures. Here's Sean Giggy.
Don't let the silence fool you. These kids can get pretty animated.
It felt like a dream.
It was mind-blowing. I felt like I was in a dream.
I think it's looking really good.
The students belong to Kat Wendling's practical animation class at R.L. Turner High School in Carrollton.
I love it.
And a few years ago, their dream was clouded by reality.
It's not flowing.
Wendling says when she was hired, the school offered just one animation class and didn't have the proper resources to be creative.
I feel
drawing on her own experience, she knew that put students at a disadvantage.
I'm motivated by what I lacked. I know that I could be way farther ahead if I were to have, had that in my own high school, college career.
To set her students up for success, she created a plan and took it straight to the principal's office.
I said, if you want me to be able to compete, if you want these kids to win, if you want these kids to be prepared, get me another teacher and give me 3 years.
She only needed 2. Her students' animated film placed first at state in 2023. This year's film, called Hangry Heist, won the state championship again. A few years ago, they'd never even qualified, and now they had their 3rd championship in 4 years. How on earth is that possible?
Our teacher, Miss Kat. She's good at getting people motivated.
It's like she's the final piece that puts it all together.
That's everything. To feel like you have an impact on kids.
Because of her, the kids are now talking about careers in animation, and many have already been accepted to college.
All happy, presenting.
Which is why Mrs. Wendling says she'll always go to great lengths to create a path.
I want them to feel heard. They themselves are worthy of everything.
A good teacher can help you dream, but only the best can bring a dream to life.
This is awesome.
In Carrollton, I'm Sean Giggy.
That is so awesome, and I love how kids now have the opportunity to do some cool things at school that weren't around back when I was a student. So proud of those kids. All right, coming up, meet the special instructor offering others a second chance after her own experience of overcoming poverty and homelessness. And a 1 in a million diagnosis changed their lives, and now they are taking on a mini marathon. We'll tell you why running is about more than just crossing the finish line for one mom and daughter. Welcome back. A special instructor in San Diego is offering people a second chance. Jeff Zevely shows us how.
It's understandable that some people who go through hardship turn the page and never look back. But there are others like Estella who spend their entire lives lifting people up.
So here's what I want us to do.
Estella Nunez teaches job readiness training, but only because she trained herself to beat the odds.
Who hasn't had a hard life? Who hasn't faced impossible challenges?
Estella grew up in Linda Vista with extreme poverty.
I was shut out by society. I did have impossible odds. I wasn't set up for success at all.
San Diego's Second Chance disrupts the cycles of incarceration and poverty by helping people empower themselves. I see your face there and there and there. The walls are lined with graduation success stories with Estella's thumbprint all over the past 10 years.
Someone who refuses to be defined by her past.
Bill Payne, president and CEO of Second Chance, calls Estella the heart and soul of the program.
Estella puts 100% of herself into what she does, and the result is amazing.
Job readiness training is an intense 4-week program where participants learn critical job skills. Estella tells her students if she can overcome challenges, anyone can.
Just to give you an idea, homelessness was better than my home life. So I ran away. I ran away with nothing.
Estella found a way to go to college and earn 2 associate degrees. She's months away from receiving a bachelor's in social work at San Diego State.
She understands us.
Gabriel Martin was incarcerated for drug possession. He's now sober and can think of no better instructor.
She makes it easy for us. She makes it comfortable. She makes us feel like there's no mistake we can make.
My dream in life is to build my business back up a little more better.
Andre Flournoy spent time behind bars for domestic violence. He couldn't believe it when he saw Estella was his instructor because Andre knew her when Estella was living on the streets. And even then, she was
striving for the best.
Even when she was homeless?
Mm-hmm.
I know that the problems that they're facing are up here and here.
Which is why providing a second chance brings Estella to tears.
It takes someone else maybe just being able to just give them a boost up, you know? It's not impossible. It just takes someone to be able to care enough to want to show them. You bring me your best, I'm gonna give you even better.
Jeff Zevely.
I love how she was able to use her personal experience and turn it around to help others who needed that same support. A nonprofit organization has 50 teams running in the Indiana University Health Mini Marathon this year. Ainsley's Angels works to make endurance events accessible and raise awareness for people with special needs. Jenna Webster introduces us to a mother-daughter duo.
Any seasoned runner will tell you, when you think you want to give up, just put one foot in front of the other.
I actually don't enjoy running. Being a college athlete, running was always like a punishment.
When 13.1 miles starts to feel too much, Catherine Smith reminds herself she's running.
What up, girl?
For her.
What up, girl?
That's her daughter, Gabby, now 7 years old. The duo traveled from Canton, Ohio last year, pink shirts and stroller packed, to run the mini marathon together.
I mean, it lets me focus on my health and push through something that's really hard for me mentally, because I know she goes through so much mentally, and she makes it so much more fun knowing that she's with me.
Gabby has a rare form of epilepsy that causes developmental delays and permanent brain damage, and is resistant to medication. She's 1 out of 1 million with the diagnosis.
The dream of being the sports mom and watching her compete and do things in sports was kind of easily put to a halt and had to look a little different. My goal was to run a half marathon with her.
The Smiths did more than just run a half marathon. Last year, they ran 42 races, 4 halves, and a mini triathlon.
Pretty much all weekends, every weekend I felt like. Being a mom of a medically fragile child, I mean, we spend a lot of our time in hospitals, doctors, therapies, things like that. And our kids don't get it really, not all the time gets a shine kind of in community events and stuff unless you really push and advocate for that.
Running with Ainsley's Angels gives Gabby that moment to shine as an athlete, and a sports mom that moment to proudly watch.
So I always put on the back of my shirts, clap for Gabby. So people that are like passing us, usually like even like the runners will be clapping saying, "Go Gabby." And she just loves it. Like it's such like, it's just such a sensory thing for her.
Oh, and by the way, at this year's Mini, Catherine will be running for 2 kids. She'll be 26 weeks pregnant with her 4th child.
Go, Gabby!
So when you're at the finish line this year, make sure to keep an eye out and clap for Gabby.
Go, Gabby, go! Go, Gabby, go!
Jenna Webster.
Still to come, a fight back from a cardiac arrest. How one Connecticut man is picking up his pace once again. Welcome back. A physical therapy patient in Connecticut is sharing his story of survival in hopes of inspiring others. He is a 42-year-old father of 3 and a triathlete, now working to get back on the course after suffering an almost deadly cardiac arrest. Here's Jim Altman.
Well, his road to recovery might be a marathon, but for Bobby, his pace is certainly picking up.
I was doing CrossFit.
All right, go for it.
I was in triathlons.
Here we go, Bobby.
And just a very busy life.
Here we go, here we go.
Bobby Nims is making a push. And from the Gaylord Physical Therapy Clinic in Cromwell,
We're gonna do 15 wall balls.
a comeback story.
So he had a cardiac arrest. His heart stopped. He stopped breathing.
Yeah, so I clinically died and side of the highway.
Bobby, an IT tech from Haddam, is a father of 3 and a force on the gym floor.
Here we go, here we go.
Last year, a cardiac arrest left him in a coma for 5 days.
Yeah, so 10 months ago, was attending a Mohegan Sun game at Uncasville and had a anaphylactic reaction to a cookie with tree nuts. And unfortunately didn't make it to the hospital in time. Had roadside CPR by a state trooper and an off-duty paramedic. And CPR more or less saved my life.
Flown by Lifestar to Yale New Haven Hospital, it took 4 weeks just for Bobby to get back on his feet.
The fact that he was such in good shape prior to is absolutely the reason he's still with us here today. All right back into it.
Nearly a year later,
14, last one, last one.
the heavy lifting continues. Twice weekly rehab sessions with physical therapist Stephanie Parenti are just part of his regimen.
Just seeing how hard he's working to get back to where he was, not just for himself, but for his family, his friends, has been so enlightening to me as a therapist and as a human. 1 minute, Bobby, 1 minute.
And a few laps with his care team.
I'm going to be doing races in the future, for sure.
Can go miles to help spread his message.
That you can. That there are people out there, that are resources out there that can be part of your team to help you get back up.
He's 1 in a million, for sure, maybe even more than that. I mean, to have Bobby here today is a true miracle.
There's a message behind me. You are closer than you were yesterday.
Last one, last one.
If you're going to fight for your life, you have to choose to live, but then you have to have the right people there too, So my story is more than just me.
In Cromwell, Connecticut, Jim Altman for Featured.
What a comeback, and I am so glad he's alive to share his story, that his family can still welcome him home every day. Now that is it for this episode of Featured. Until next time, make it a great one.